So I mean, just looking at your life, there's like a few things I just want to ask you right off the bat. So I feel like I interview a lot of actors, and I feel like you're one of the few that, not one of the few, but one of the small number that really early on knew kind of exactly what she wanted to do with her life. Like you didn't stumble on it, you didn't, come into it by chance. You weren't asked to audition. It was just like, this is what I want to do, right?
Well, actually, funny enough, when I was in high school, I thought I was going to be a veterinarian. I wanted to work in the medical field, and I actually got a scholarship to U of T to do biomedical sciences and do like pre-med.
Wow.
But my drama teacher saw, because I like loved it. I loved it so much. And I was in drama. I did the school play and stuff, but I never really thought it was a feasible career. And like, I grew up with a, single Asian mother, and like the expectation, take care, have a real job. And my mom always was like, be lawyer. That's kind of like acting, And I was like, And then grade 12 came around, and my drama teacher, Mr. Cassidy, was like, Charles, I saw you weren't applying for drama school. Like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Like, like that's a thing? Like, really? And he just had such belief in me. The next day, he came back with a letter of recommendation and was like, please audition for one school.
Right.
I will pay for your extra application, and like, you just love it so much. And I did, but it just like didn't feel like something attainable, right? Like there's that, you'd be like, I'm an actor, and even still people are like, oh, that's nice, like what else do you do? And I'm like, no. Ooh, like like this is what I love and what I do. And he was the first person that really was like, don't have a plan B. Just put all your eggs in one basket and just, can I swear, F and go. And so I did, and I ended up getting accepted into Ryerson. And I was like, you know what, if it doesn't pan out, I'll defer my science and I'll go to U of T. And I was one of 8 people to graduate in my year, and 21 out of 3,000 people got accepted.
Wow.
Shoot, okay, I guess I'm going to try to be an actor.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked back since, and I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
So 2 things out of what you said. The first being, I have heard that story so many times where mom and dad say, other parents say, get something that you can, maybe is more concrete than acting, because acting is so like, it's great for a year. It's not great for a year. It's great for 6 months. It's not great. Very inconsistent. So how did you manage to talk mom into like, listen, I could do this. Like I can make this happen.
Well, she was like, well, if you pay for it, it's your life.
Yeah, that's great though.
I support you, and it gave me, grit. And luckily, because I'm in Canada, I could apply for subsidies for university and stuff. So I just took out credit card debt and student loans, and I just was like, failure's not an option. Kind of like my character, like for Warrior, and me. I think that's why I booked her. Like for me, that was her mentality. Failure is not an option. Survival is the only way. And like, if you have a dream, like you're the only one that's going to fight for it. No one else is going to be able to fight for you as hard as you're going to fight for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what like my mom told me as well. And she was like, I see this like magic inside of you, but it's scary. And like, I want you to, support yourself and have a life. And I just put my head down and just started grinding and like obsessing over the technique of it and just trying to get deeper and better. And I've just obsessed over the craft so much that hopefully I just keep the ball rolling, and things like, I really don't know how this happened. But other than just like absolute grit, like you have to want it more than you want to breathe, because everybody is going to tell you to, do an easier thing, or you're stupid for trying this, whatever kind of art, whether you're a painter, a dancer, like, because it's just so very few people actually make it.
Right.
So it has to be about you loving it. And honestly, up until Warrior, like, man, I had bartending jobs. I worked as an elf during Christmas to pay the bills, like any couple of bucks I could scrounge around. And like, I would do shows for free just because I love it.
And Chelsea, I think people don't realize, like, there are so many great actors who haven't even gotten you've got the opportunity because you've earned it. But like, there are so many great actors that haven't gotten that booking on a show. But it's like if you saw them in a theater production, you'd be like, oh my God, they are ridiculously talented. And there's, so it's like it is a little bit of luck, but it is certainly talent. It is all those things that you're saying,
Absolutely. Because the thing is, it's for me, I truly believe, like, right, if you get lucky and you like hit it early, and I've been doing this for 12 years now. Like, it still feels early in my career though. But yeah, like, hard work always beats talent, especially when talent doesn't work hard. But you need the synergy of like all of that stuff happening, like the endurance of it. Like, I think even Tina Fey was like, yeah, it took me like until she was like 40 something to get on SNL, or Oprah. Even it took a long time for her to become Oprah. You just have
chase it down. Yeah, I
chase
get
it down. You just can't stop.
Yeah. And the other thing you said was, and I don't know how you mentioned the one profession I don't think I could ever do if it paid $3 million a year. Being a vet, I think it's rewarding. But I could not, like, the first animal I would have to put down would shatter my soul. And I'm a weak person in that way. I own that. I couldn't do it. Like, I could not do it. But I guess if you do it enough, or you're there, like, I feel that any medical profession, a vet, or humans, whatever, like, I feel like you almost have to put your, not sympathies aside, but like you have to be a doctor first. And then I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't, it would break my heart in so many different ways.
Oh, and like that part of it for sure breaks my heart so much, but also if it brings the animal more peace, and if they are in pain, and there's so much complexity in that kind of profession. And like, I always just loved animals almost more than people, and like, just being able to help something that can't help itself. And I love science and all of that, but putting animals down and like just seeing animals in pain.
That's right. Yeah.
In general, and doing that, like, oh my gosh, my dog had to have knee surgery a couple of years ago. She's a tiny little Morkie. She's like 3 pounds. And even just seeing her like crying, and I saw some videos of animals waking up from their sedation, and I'm like, it breaks my heart. But knowing that they're going to be better on the other side, like seeing Mowgli's recovery, and now her knees are so good now. She's bouncing around better than
That's
she
great.
was before
That's so
she
great.
got injured. And like that to me, like, oh man, I grew up watching like just the Westminster Dog Show for fun, and like Cesar Millan.
Yeah.
And it would be my dream one day to open a ranch in like an animal rehabilitation center, because obviously there's not enough time, I think, for me to get like veterinary licensing and stuff. And I want to for sure. But if there's any way like helping animals in the future somehow, like every time I see a stray dog on the street, I almost picked up a pit bull last week. I saw a pit bull tied up outside the store, and it had a cut on its face. And I was walking with my friend Mark, and I was like, Mark, if that dog is here when we walk around the block, I'm going to take it. And he's like, Child's dog. I'm like, I always carry a spare leash in my backpack just in case I see a stray or something. Because even my cat, I rescued her from a hoarder house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I met this girl in first year university, and she was like a friend of mine. Their cat just has kittens. Do you want one? And I was like, I'm in school. I don't really have time. Like, but I'm down to play with a box of kittens on a Saturday. That's like so fun. And I showed up, and it was a hoarder house. And I was like, oh no, Olivia, what is this? And next thing you know, I walked across the street to the Walmart, grabbed a duffel bag, and I took the nastiest one of the bunch. And now Teeny, I still have her. She's like somewhere between 10 and 15, maybe.
Chelsea, what do they call that? The cat selection process? What do they call that? The cat. There's a TikTok term for it where the cat chooses you. Like the cat.
I don't know.
No, I got it. It's called the cat distribution system. It's how you get your cat. Like it's the weirdest stories. It's the funniest thing. So you are a victim of the cat distribution system. That's it.
I totally am. Because I have never met another person that has purchased a cat. Like, it's always like, I found it in a dumpster, found it in an alley, and then you fall in love. And luckily she's very sweet. She's very nice. She's not one of those,
Yeah, and it's like there's these people that like have these like endangered, and not endangered, but like animals, like wild animals. Like there was people that raised this like puma. Like it's cute when it's little, but when that sucker was an adult, like I don't want that in my house. Like it's
a wild animal.
Yes, I mean, like, and when you see it like snarl or whatever it does, it's just like, oh my god, like
nah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the effect that a mentor has on your life, right? And before we get to
Mhm.
Warrior, is there a movie or an actor? I asked this to all my guests, but I always love the answers. Is
Yeah.
there a movie or an actor do you feel like that really affected you early on to really kind of spark that a little bit?
Um, yeah, actually the first movie that really like just hit my heart, and I think it's maybe the reason that I wanted to be a storyteller, um, was I Am Sam with Sean.
Oh,
And it was just, yeah, his performance in that was just so, and Dakota Fanning, like as a child, and that whole relationship, and it just, um, yeah, it just it really hit a chord with me, and I think reminded me kind of not exactly, but like a dysfunctional family, and like just, yeah, like the relationship, I don't know, like it just, the relationship with Dakota and Sean Penn in that
yeah.
movie just, it reminded me a lot of like my family, and me growing up, and kind of this idea that like when I was so little, like I knew that I needed to take care of everyone. um,
Right.
I had that feeling, and like I saw Dakota like trying to take care of her dad with so much empathy, and it's like he's really trying, and it breaks my heart every time. I'm crying every time, like when he's going to visit her and like he's not allowed, and I'm like, no, but he just is not
Mm,
there, but
mm,
he's there, but he's not
yeah.
ready. And it just like taught me so much compassion and so much empathy, um, for, because I saw it so young. I was probably like, oh, I don't even know when that movie came out. I was probably like 9 or 10 when it came out, and I
Yeah.
was became so interested in people and relationships, um, and heartbreak and pain, and just like trying to be better. And that was the first movie that like I still think about it. It's been like 20 years since and
I
that,
was not ready. I was not ready for that movie for you to say that. It's a fantastic movie, but I was not expecting you to say that. I was not.
really,
Yes, I was not expecting. It's an excellent underrated movie. I
it's
love it.
so underrated.
Yeah.
Then there's so many, yeah, it's just well performed, well put together, and like everybody in it is just, it's heartbreaking, and there's humor in it, and it's yeah, I would pick that movie. That's to this day I'd say that's the reason that I wanted to tell stories and be an actor. Um, and I didn't even know it, because of course I didn't think I was gonna really be a professional
Yeah.
actor, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's why I went into drama school and like did the school play, and like I like all my bookshelf is all just scripts and plays, like it's not even novels, it's like um from my collection. Yeah, so I'd say
Great answer. Great answer. There's shows that I watch. Whether I go to a press junket or they have these things. There's shows that don't last very long. They're a year. They're okay.
mhm.
There's shows that I feel like people hype up and they're not great. Warriors on the other end of it, like how I didn't know about this earlier. I think Warrior had some bad luck. I think he had some bad
Oh
luck with COVID. I think he had some bad luck. Just some things happen.
yeah.
But there's no reason why this show should be as underrated. And I don't want to say not known because it's well known, but like with thousands of shows out there, it's easy for things to get lost.
Hmm.
I got sucked in by accident and I haven't looked back. Like I'm almost at the end of season 1, so I'm a little behind.
It's okay.
But it is truly like a terrific show. Like it's one of those shows. Like okay, one episode down, I can do one more before I go to bed. I can
Yeah.
do what? Then that one finishes. I'm like, well, maybe we
The
could do one more.
cliffhanger. Yeah. Whoa.
I can get 5 hours of sleep, right? I can handle that midnight, right?
Yeah.
So it is certainly immensely underrated, and I feel like that kind of goes with Jonathan Tropper. Am I saying Jonathan's last name?
Proper.
Tropper,
Yeah.
because Banshee is one of my top 5 for me, right? So I just feel like he makes these like sneaky, awesome shows. I mean, he's not the only one responsible, but he's a showrunner. There's like these sneaky, like really good shows that you like. Nobody's heard of Banshee. It's one of the best shows ever made, ever.
I
Like,
still haven't seen it yet. I should watch it. He always makes fun of me. I should watch it. I mean, don't tell him. Oh fuck! Now he knows.
but it's got that like sneaky, like, oh, I was not ready for that. Like, I wasn't expecting Warrior to be like horrible or anything, but like, it's one of those shows that Chelsea, it hits you. It's like, oh my god, it's a really, really good show.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Even like I came across. Well, how did you accidentally come across it? Might I
Well,
ask?
I was going through Max. I was going through Max, and what was I watching? Was it the Last of Us? It was something a year ago. Was it the Last of Us? And I'm like, I got to get to that Warrior. And then what recently just wrapped on? Oh, True Detective just wrapped. And sometimes they have like these suggestions, like
Right.
blah 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 blah. Okay, and then I watched a couple episodes, and I'm like, oh my god, how did I not like? It was like a purely accidental. And then I look at the cast, and I'm like, Olivia's fantastic. There's some really great. Like, how do I just
Oh, Tassum, yeah.
like? I'm so mad that I missed out because I'm pretty good with a pulse on things. I'm
Hmm.
just really mad that I had to come upon this show because of a you might like,
Right.
which is like
Yeah.
really embarrassing. Like, I feel like I'm a better than a fluky kind of. Oh, I just stumbled upon a guy. I feel like I should know. I should have known it. But again, in
It's
my
so
defense,
so hidden in the background, and it was on Cinemax at first, and then like they weren't really promoting it even when it was on Max, like because even yeah, I didn't know, but and I had the same reaction as you, and I came across the show as well when I was auditioning, and I was like, Warrior, like that sounds cool, wow. Created by Bruce Lee. All right, like how did I not hear about this? DTD. And I searched it up, and I had the same reaction because I had to do my research for my audition, and I only had time to watch the first two episodes, and yeah, I was like, what? Like, how is this not everywhere? This it's so
yeah.
funny, it's charming, there's action, it's sexy. Like Chopper really adds the humor even in there. And it's just beautifully shot, the art direction.
You know what he does, Chelsea, really well, better than almost anybody, is he knows how to tell a story where, like, so there is the fighting, like you're saying, then there's the wonderful story, then there's the character development. Everything works. It's not like fighting for the sake of fighting or a nude scene for the sake of a nude scene. Everything kind of just flows like a good story flows. Nothing is forced. Nothing is put for reaction. It's just like the symmetry he has. He's a really just a wonderful storyteller. As he's just really
Yeah,
he's a really talented
so
man.
talented and so nice. Like he's one of the sweetest people and so smart. I really hope that we get to make more. I'm curious. Oh yeah, you're only on season one still. So more
Yes. So I haven't seen you yet because you come in 3,
three.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like I got to talk to as many of this cast as possible because I am just in love with this show. Like it's
Awesome.
just I can't recommend it enough. Let me ask you this. So you mentioned a little bit of the backstory. The backstory for those listening or watching this is incredible, right? Because Bruce Lee in the 70s creates this show, but they kind of rip him off with Kung Fu with David Carradine because they don't want to cast a non-white guy. And he's kind of stolen from a little bit, right?
Hmm.
Little bit. And Shannon Lee kind of stumbles upon these journals he has, which is essentially Warrior.
Yep.
And you know all this. I'm just approaches Justin Lin, Fast and the Furious fame, amongst other things, and that's how these journals and the story gets set forth. And I think Bruce Lee would be super super proud of what's going on right now.
I truly do think he'd be elated. I really hope, because I remember when we did our table read at a hotel called the One in South Africa, and I still have it. It's in a locked briefcase hidden somewhere. I want to like frame it really nice. But Shannon photocopied a letter for us in Bruce Lee's handwriting that he originally wrote to Warner Brothers Studio to try to pitch it to the studio, and he signs off with, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, um, I give you my heart, my soul, my blood. This is more than my dream. It's my life. Please give me a chance to make this come true. Is how he like signed it off. And
Mm.
he, like, if they made it back then at that time, it certainly would not have looked like what it does now. And like, I wish he could have been here for sure to be in it and see it and see what we're doing. But I know he's looking down, like so proud of what the show has become, and like so much diversity on the cast, and seeing like first studio to put a majority Asian cast on a huge network and have it be doing well, like
And slightly female driven.
and yeah, very female driven as well. These
Mm.
powerful women, like these powerful people of color, and the beautifully complex stories, right? It's not just fighting for the sake of it or sex for the sake of it.
Right, right. I
Really
agree.
complicated, emotional people trying to move through life in a very specific time. And yeah, it's I
And
think
it's
I'm proud.
in the history, the discrimination and racism actually happened. The wars actually happened, right? So a lot of the
Yeah.
characters might be somewhat fictitious, right? So
Some of them,
the
they're very inspired. Like even a toy is inspired by the very first brothel owner in Chinatown who was.
oh, okay, I didn't know that. Wow,
Yeah, and
wow.
even Leary's character is inspired by a real man that did exist to work for the working Irishmen, and he actually went into politics and started doing that kind of stuff. And so yeah, and I know for sure if you get a chance to talk to Olivia, there's a very specific real Asian woman that was a madame in Chinatown that she got her inspiration from, which is really, really cool. And I even remember like for me in my research, because I'm supposed to be playing like a regular Chinatown person that gets affected by all of the.
You are the daughter of a shop, of a shop maker. I
Yeah,
don't.
a printer. We have like a
That's it.
print shop in Chinatown.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and when I was doing some research, because it's that time when the Chinese are immigrating into San Francisco, even as you get into the later season, in season 3, we start talking about Angel Island, which
Oh, okay.
was where the Asian people got kind of like sent to internment camps
Mm,
and tortured, and they were supposed to get their papers, etc. But really, they were just wanting to be sent back by the people of San Francisco. And I came across these poems of all of these people, like their journeys across the salts, across the boats, and I'm sure many of the other actors have maybe found some of these letters and poems as well. Because even if you go to Angel Island, there's still carvings in the walls in Chinese characters. And then now, since they've translated some of them, because the Chinese people, prisoners really, that were there, a lot of them committed suicide or some of them
mm.
escaped. There was one, they called him Bambi. And a lot of his feeling in these stories kind of echoed through a lot of the poems on the wall, but it really stuck with me because it's even some of the things that the characters say within the show of like coming across the salts to the Golden Mountain it was not a
Mm.
concrete prison. And that was
The irony of the name of the island too is ridiculous. You know,
exactly
Angel. You know, I mean, pretty far from what it actually was.
exactly
You know, and the cast does a wonderful job of portraying their parts. But I got to say, I think, you know, Brucey, I think he would have been proud of the whole thing. But I think he would. I just would have loved to see his reaction to Andrew Koji. Just kind of. I mean, come on, Andrew's playing. I mean, he's essentially from what I've seen in
yeah
season 1. He is a mirror of what Bruce was. I mean,
totally
powerful, strong, mentally strong, down deep. He's a kind person. Like there's just so much there that just screams Bruce, you know.
Yeah, and even like a lot of the choreography, Brett and Tropper really worked so hard to like pick and choose very specific moments of homage, a lot of the physicality. There's even, oh, Andrew was talking about one of the sequences, I think at the end of season 2, which you haven't seen yet, but there's a sequence, there's about 10 or 15 beats that's exactly from Enter the Dragon when all of the men are like circling around him
Yeah.
with the nunchucks. And there's like 10 or 15 beats that they really tried to match to kind of do homage to that. There's even like another scene where there's like the scratches on, there's Easter eggs everywhere, Bruce Lee, even like
Ooh.
like things. So if you like check out for that, Andrew worked so hard. He worked so hard, even like learning all the nunchucks. He's in martial arts for a lot of his life, but some of the other like weaponry stuff, like they were like, hey, you got to learn some nunchucks for next season. He's like, okay, great. And he learned it, did it. He does like 80-90% of his own stunts, like
Oh
incredible.
my God.
Bruce would have. I think so for sure. And he wanted to have the experience, but Andrew is so talented as a fighter and an actor. They couldn't have found anyone better to
I feel like as an actor, if you do your own stunts, especially that many, you should be paid like it's the salary of a stuntman
Right?
and your own salary. I mean, that's like a lot of work.
It's a lot. And his body in the third season, I think we really stepped back. He stepped back a little bit from trying to do it all because it was really catching up with his body. And I remember hearing stories about season 2 and 1 because it was a lot of injuries that were going on between the stunt guys and especially Andrew and Joe. There were injuries all over the place. I think there's one scene like his hamstring was completely like messed up because they just were resetting, and that's when injuries happen. And even this season, oh my gosh, we sent someone, who was it? One of the stunt guys accidentally, I think Dean, they were just tired. It was the end of the day. It's like a night shoot. And Dean accidentally was an inch too close and clocked one of the stunties in the face. And he like passed out and went to the hospital. I don't know if they used that shot, which is unfortunate because it wasn't on his coverage.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dean, everyone. We had Mark Dacascos this season, Joe Tassim, who was in Mortal Kombat. Like they do all of their own stunts, which is why this show is so good. Like I'm such a fan of the show, like even just myself, and being able to be in the stunt tent and watching Andrew and Joe work on the choreography, because it's so much more than just fighting. It's like the connection that they have with each other and like all of the internal energy as well is very difficult to fight and act well.
There's a scene early on that catches me. It was the first or second episode where, Andrew's character he's looking for his sister and he's being a real smartass, talking about how he could have easily chopped up these onions, I think he says.
Oh yeah.
And the guy is a Tong, and I don't remember his name, but they fight each other because it ends up that he's dating his sister.
Yes, that's Joe Tassim.
Yes. So the fight that they have, like the way, like you think, oh, he's got this. He's really tough, but the other guy's maybe a little stronger, and you can feel the force of his punches like through the speaker of like the sound bar. Like I don't think I've ever felt that in a show. Like that's pretty impressive. Like you almost feel like the somebody actually touching your chest. That's how powerful it was.
Absolutely. And their control is so amazing. They're both incredible martial artists. I think Joe was a Indonesian judo champion. I can't remember what year, but was a real professional fighter for a long time.
He looks like it. Like it.
And his control is so good. There's one scene that's in season 3, I think in the first episode. And I remember being on set because I just wanted to watch the monitors. I wasn't working that day, but I wanted to watch. And Andrew does like a back fist, and the way that it was literally like it just grazes the like peach fuzz on his chin, and Joe reacts to it, and they use that in the thing, but they weren't like it wasn't supposed to be that close, but he pulled the punch like so quick. That's so
amazing.
dynamic. They're so good. Oh my gosh, everybody on this show is so good.
Yeah. Your character, I have to say is just describe her to me, because I haven't met her yet.
Right.
Tell me what I can expect. Tell me what she's like. Tell me what you put into her.
Yan Mi is the eldest daughter of a print shop owner in Chinatown. She's spicy. She's sarcastic. She's very stubborn and strong-willed. And she decides to take her family's future in her own hands. She doesn't necessarily maybe make the best decision and maybe gets in a little bit too deep, but she ends up having to deal with the consequences of her choices.
I like it. I like it. You ever take a character, maybe especially one like this, you ever think about a character long after you've played it?
All the time, every time. I feel like every character that I come across, it's almost like the universe is like, you're ready to be this now. Like, I feel like some actors, maybe their perspective of acting is like they want to escape from themselves and like become these. But for me, it almost feels like I get deeper into myself. I gain more access to myself, whether that's because I'm allowing myself to take on these traits, which maybe I didn't originally believe that they were mine. She's very I don't know. She's kind of a hard ass. Yeah, and
Yeah, I'm getting that impression. Yeah,
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 and I'm
yeah,
like so not confrontational at all. Like it actually makes me like really nervous to like have any, even to be like, no, thank you. I'm like, no, no, I'll have it. Whatever, sure.
yeah,
Like such a
yeah.
people pleaser at heart, and I'm working on that. But I think through practicing confidence through her and like this no bullshit attitude, um, allowed me to kind of like, I take that with me. Um,
Yeah.
for sure. Like I learn every time I get the gift of playing in another situation and another body. Yeah,
I really hope there's a season 4. I really hope somebody picks this up. I feel like the fans are just researching your life. I feel like fans are clamoring for this 4th season. They really want it. They really want it. Like, why wouldn't you just give one, like, just do one more season or do a movie, do something? Just,
yeah,
I don't want to, I'm not there yet, so I can't comment, but I can
right.
tell you that's a lot of what I read was, we want more. We love this.
Oh,
We
that's so great to hear. And like, I want more. I have questions at the end of season 3. Like the cliffhanger that ends in season 3, it's really setting up a lot of amazing storylines to happen. I have a lot of questions for sure, not just
yeah.
for my character, but for everybody. And that's, yeah, I've been reading that as well. Like, even talking to Jonathan, when I was being cast for this part, I was like, so are you planning other seasons? And he was saying like we didn't rebuild Chinatown to only do one. Obviously, it's not completely in his hands, but I hope like the gods above us are like really like seeing all of the comments, like Netflix gods, come on. And they're seeing that because it was such a labor of love and all of the work. Like literally after season 2, we sold everything because it got canceled for like 2 years, when the
Mhm.
pandemic and stuff. And the art people rebuilt Chinatown and San Francisco, which is blocks and blocks of set and like all these costumes, and it's just too good. Like I feel good energy about the show, and it seems to be being received well. But the streams are so saturated, and like we came out on Netflix the same week that Avatar came out, and the same week that like
A lot of bad luck for this show. I'm telling
oh
you, the COVID. But listen, I'm not trying to like poop or crap on anybody else's show. But Grey's Anatomy has like 58 seasons. Like I get it. How could Warrior not get just 4? Like come
come
on. Like what are we
on.
doing here? I thank you for all this time. I have 2 more questions for you.
Oh yes, no worries.
So I don't know if you've ever seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you have, what did you think of Quentin's portrayal of Bruce? Did you think it was unfair?
Hmm, that is a good question. Yes, I have seen it. Do I think it was
I know
fair?
Shannon's not a fan of it. I know Shannon's not a fan of it. I
Yeah,
always had the impression that Quentin loved old school cinema and guys like Bruce and got those old. But I'll let you answer the question. I don't want to.
yeah. Like I don't know if unfair is the right words. The thing is, from my perspective of art, or from what I know, especially about Quentin Tarantino, it's like I don't know him, so like I don't know
Yeah,
if it was a jab. I don't know if he was trying to take the Mickey
right.
out of like this like huge star, or if it was like right. I don't know the context of like why, or
He's certainly implying that Bruce was
fake.
minimally arrogant, very
Exactly.
arrogant, but I feel like confidence and arrogance are next door neighbors, right? So like
I
you
know.
could be confident, people can mistake confidence for arrogance, and people can mistake arrogance for confidence. So it's like it's a,
Totally.
but I don't know.
And also because the thing is, like with him, like putting that scene in, it's like that is Tarantino's perspective, if anything. Like
That's right. That's
for
right.
me, like that's why I'm like, I don't know if it's not fair. It's like, no, as long as you're looking through the lens of whatever beef Tarantino had, or like whatever vision that he had of it, that is his storytelling. And like if anything, it is a story still.
Yeah.
And like I have like so much like love and respect and admiration for Bruce Lee, but also Quentin Tarantino as well as a movie maker, but he's making fiction movies is what I always
Yeah.
try to remember. And it's like, as long as people are recognizing that that was not Bruce Lee. That is Tarantino's perception of a version of Bruce Lee that may or may not have existed.
Yeah.
You know, so I hope people don't think that like, if that's the only thing that people are seeing of Bruce Lee, then maybe it is a little unfair.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
But oh, nice. Do you see that?
How did that come up? Like, that came up in another interview.
I think there's also like other like signals.
Really? I
Is
just
it a thumbs up? Is that what happened?
I didn't press anything. Another thumbs up.
Another thumbs up. And there's another thing. Sometimes if you're like, congratulations. Oh, sometimes fireworks like pop up.
Like they're coming up on the that's so strange.
Yeah. I don't know what that update was. It's like Apple update or something.
That's strange. Yeah. That's strange. You know, but so I'll end on this. So with Bruce, you know, we talked about the struggles he had coming up. Like, he was just completely always fighting, right? He was always the guy that was like, had to suffer from discrimination. He always was battling. What obstacles have you faced as an actor as you progress through your career and you get this really wonderfully talented self through this career? What are the obstacles that you're enduring?
In the beginning, now times are changing for sure in terms of casting, but in the beginning, like, right, I was always just like the best friend or the nurse or the nanny or like these one-liner, nothing, two-dimensional characters. So that felt like, in the beginning, am I ever going to really be able to express myself more than just... But now it's changing. Now, some of the challenges, I mean, I feel like just handling my own anxiety, and like, I hope...
Yeah.
Like, as the jobs get, it seems like bigger, which is great, and getting more complex from like the original problems me having. It's like, oh, now that like the world has shifted, or like the arts world has shifted into giving people that look like me an opportunity to be something like the lead and have these meaty roles. I've been finding now, I've been talking to my therapist a lot. Like, I remember before leaving for Warrior, like, if the pressure, it's like, oh, this is like Bruce Lee's baby, or like, wow, now I'm like, I finally get the opportunity to be on this big set, and the imposter syndrome starts to kick in, which I feel like is normal for a lot of artists and stuff. But remaining, you know, cognizant about, you know, I booked this job because I deserve to be here, and just keep like trying my best. But it's really hard to like take it out of your brain of like the feeling that, oh, what if I never work again? Nope, you just have to endure and keep doing it. And like, just like when I was in high school, I was like, okay, well, one day I'm gonna like book it and it's gonna be easy. And it's like, I feel like I'm wrestling with the idea that maybe that doesn't stop. And even if the jobs get bigger, like, there's always gonna be fear, and that just means I care.
Yeah. Because Chelsea, it's booking the role. Then it's like, oh shit, now I got to fulfill the role. And it's like, believe me, as somebody who cannot get over his anxiety, I get it. Like, I don't have to be an actor to get what you're going through. That can be hard at times, I have to believe.
Yeah, and then when it comes out and like, hopefully people like it, and then there's like, oh, what if they don't?
Shit, was I good enough? Was I good enough? Yeah.
Yeah, was I good enough? Like, really, I had this like, I was like, yes, this is the first like huge thing. Every other thing, like, I care about, and I always, it doesn't matter the size of the project, the size of the role. Like, I always give like 1,000,000%. But there is the indie things that, you know, like on a Hallmark or something, like, okay, well, if I like shit the bed a little bit, like, the world really isn't going to see. It's only going to be like a small subset of people. Like, I still have a chance. Right. But when this one came around, I was like, wow, really? Like, the world is going to see, like, all of casting and stuff is going to see. So it really felt like, right, this was the first like make or break.
Right. Right. No, it's a huge role. I mean, it's a huge role. It's a huge show. Like, I get it. Like, you have to really, you have to find, because I feel like this is something you only manage with time. And you're right. You may have to deal with this everywhere. It might get easier, you know, but yeah. But you're honest. But thank you for that honesty. Like, that's such an honest answer. It's like refreshingly honest.
Oh, thank you. Do
Yeah.
people normally not what answer do other people give?
It's people, many people, some people don't always open up. It's kind of like there's a cookie cutter answer I get a lot.
Mm,
There's answers that like I kind of I don't
okay.
ask the question because I know what they're going to say sometimes, but like that's just a refreshingly honest answer. Like
And I
that.
totally feel that. And I hope maybe the thing is, I don't know that I want my anxiety necessarily I need to manage it. I'm getting better certainly at managing it. Because right, the close up, it sees everything. And nerves are good though, as long as you know how to siphon them in the right direction. Like, it means you care, as long as you know
Yes.
control it, because I've definitely had a few moments of like panic attack and I'm like calling my therapist like, oh god, because then I can't do my work,
Mm,
right? Like
mm.
as soon as your frequency inside your body start, but I love being on set, but then it's the after and before. It's like everything that's like between action and cut, it's those moments where I'm learning to manage between action and cut, the prep for the role before you get on the plane, before you meet people. Like I just booked a show that I'm going to have to go to New Mexico in a couple of weeks, and I haven't met anyone. And right, the first days of work, when you're just meeting everybody again, like right, every audition is a new interview. You're starting a new job every couple of weeks, and you might not know anyone, and like that comes up of
New environment, new
new environment,
situation
new
outside of
situation.
shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's really great working with people that are like have been in the industry so much longer than I have. And because on these indies that I've worked in Canada, we're all like kind of the same age, we're all kind of like in the same like plane. And now with some of these bigger, there's new people like me, and then I was working with like Mark DeCascos, who's been doing this for a long time, and
Mm.
the things that you can learn. But it's on one hand, oh, I'm such a sponge, like, yes, give me all of your wisdom, give me your stuff, but then also I hope I don't look bad next to you. Like,
Yeah.
you're so good. Like, if I get,
Yeah.
because I see TV sometimes, and like, sometimes you're like, ooh, when someone like didn't do their homework, like I get really nerdy when I watch TV, like about acting, because I'm like,
Yeah.
why did that work? Why didn't it work? And I'm watching Lost again right now, which is
Another
so
a
good.
great show. Great show.
I'm on season. I just started season 2.
Yeah.
I'm not completely through it, but there's like a few moments where, like, in terms of acting, I'm like, oh, like I don't think she completely did her homework there, because Jack, the actor that plays Jack, like he's just so in his body. And there was one other actress. I won't say who, but I was like, it just doesn't feel as like alive as Jack. Like, what's that about?
Right.
Like that's one of my anxieties. I'm like, what if someone comes to like a Chelsea Muirhead movie or like thing, and they're like, she booked this, she did this, oh, and like that's like so I work so hard. I like have been doing this for a long time, and I hope I never think I'm a master. I never think I'm great, because I always just, that's when you get stagnant, and that's when you stop improving, is when you think you're so great.
Yeah, and I was watching Killers of the Flower Moon, and Leo is a phenomenal actor, right? He's great, but like he plays a guy that is just out of the military,
Mm.
which you figure is what, 21, 22. Leo's freaking 50, and I felt like I noticed that a little bit. Like there's
Mm.
like, and I'm not nearly as knowledgeable as you when it comes to movies or acting and any of that stuff. I can't, I don't see the intricacies like you can see, but that
Which
was
is
in my
good.
head.
Hopefully the regular normal person isn't like nitpicking every little breath and beat, I hope.
I'm like, Leo's a little bit old here to be playing a guy that just left the military at like 21, 22, maybe 23. And he's, like I said, 50.
Mm,
So that was in my head. I mean, his performance is phenomenal. So you never really notice it. But when
right.
when you connect his personal life, you're like, okay, this guy's a little older, but you know
Yeah.
what?
But is that a casting thing or like an acting thing? Because if the acting didn't like bother you, but it was something like plot wise, like realistic wise, that's what fussed you about that, because the casting seemed a little incorrect.
Yeah, he
Mm.
was I think his name's Jesse is it Plemons? He's such a great actor. Like he plays the cop, and I felt like maybe they should have switched, but
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe Leo should have played the cop, and He should have played. But anyways,
Yeah,
does that get in the way of your movie and your TV watching? Is you can't let your professional self down a little bit? Like you can't just separate? Is that tough?
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love it. I enjoy it though. Like
Yeah.
maybe it annoys people that I'm like watching with that like aren't actors. Like I'm not like chatting like during the movie or whatever, but certainly like continuity things or like the water's like going up and down or like the food's getting all weird or like things like that, or like I'll notice yeah, like different continuity things or like different beats, or I'll try to pick out like if I can see the ADR happening.
Yeah.
um if the For people that don't know out there, like the additionally dubbed recording, we dub ourselves if the sound was fussed up on set. And sometimes I'll try, because ADR is so for me, I love it, but it's difficult sometimes for me because I have quite a raspy voice, and especially during really emotional scenes, like my voice will crack or break, and then I have to freaking do ADR, so then I have to match my cracks and like rasp in my voice. So it's
That's hard.
difficult for me because I like to work from like inside out, like a really emotional place, and then whatever happens kind of happens. So then if I have to recreate that in ADR, it's such a fun challenge, which I really enjoy. So I started really trying, if I can, like, that throws me off a little bit sometimes when I see the ADR like not matching. But then I'll like, it's cool because then I'll look at like my like roommates who aren't actors, they work in business, and then nobody's fussed by it, and that like eases my anxiety a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, see, like a regular normie, regular person like won't notice those things, the water, the things. So like, why would I put that as a challenge on my plate while I'm working? Because I think when I was younger, early on, when you're so worried about the audience and worried about like, are they gonna notice? And people really don't. But what they notice is the life that's happening like here, and like that's the most important part. But as I get hopefully better, like that's why when I watch TV, like it is always, I am nitpicking a little bit because I'm just like, why did that work? Why didn't it? Like, okay, can I add that to my technique basket? Okay, cool. Or, so.
That's smart though. That's smart to do that. Like you are nitpicking, but you're also you're. I feel like when you're always questioning things, like looking at things, I feel like you improve things. I feel like you're always like, Like you don't want to get you stay away from complacency in that way. I feel like that's a healthy part of it. I think anyway.
So. I think so as well. And like, and of course, like I'm never like, judging any actor or whatever. It's such a collaborative thing, right? That whether it's the editing or the direction or certain choices or whatever it is, like, again, from what we were talking about a little bit before of, right? Like you always need to be getting better and moving forward. If you think you're so great and there's nothing to learn, like you need to get another job. Like
big trouble.
You're in big trouble.
Yeah. Well said, Chelsea. Is there anything else you want to throw out there, Chelsea? Whether it's a future project, you mentioned something earlier about you going to New Mexico. Is there anything you wanted to say, throw out there?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say what show it is just yet, but next year you'll see me on a Netflix show that we're shooting in New Mexico. Just because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it.
That's okay. I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to put you in that position.
Thanks. And but I'm also on an episode of Law and Order, which is I'm in episode 7. That's my story arc, which should be coming out soon. I wish I could tell you about the show that I'm on currently, but maybe we'll have another interview about it.
I would love that. I would love to talk to you again. You're a lot of fun, and I wish you nothing but the best. And until we meet again, I'm looking forward to talking about Warrior when I catch up. So, that's Chelsea, thank you for this, and thank you for all the time you gave me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Derek. This was so fun.
All the best.